yes, I want to contribute to the pile of beauty, but I often don't know what that looks like, and I can't be the judge of that, and quite often it comes through failure, and I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that's part of the human condition. And that's when I think glory can be given. That's when the partnership, I think, with God and a creator, if we believe in that, it takes place, that mystical reality of I'm working and God is also working. We're co-laboring together.
Welcome to the Habit Podcast, conversations with writers about writing. I'm Jonathan Rogers, your host. Becca Jordan has referred to herself as a wandering songbird. She's a singer-songwriter, a writer of essays, and a worship leader in Nashville. She's also working on a master's degree in theopoetics. Becca was our guest at the Habit's 2026 Winter Writers Weekend. The theme of that weekend was Adding to the Glory. Becca is an artist who has put a lot of glory into the world in a lot of different ways, so she seemed like an obvious fit. This conversation was recorded in front of a room full of writers. In this episode, Becca and I talk about glory, longing, and related topics. Becca Jordan, so happy to have you on the Habit Podcast on this live recording at the Habit's Winter Writers Weekend 2026.
All right, so happy to be here. Thank you.
Rebecca, you, of course, are a singer-songwriter. You are a worship leader. Mm-hmm. And as I was saying a little while ago, you are a student of theopoetics.
That's right.
Which we're going to find out more about that here in a minute. So the theme of this weekend, at the Winter Writers Weekend, has been adding to the glory. Okay, so the idea is, one way to think about art making is to think of it as a way to get your share of whatever glory is on offer. Okay. And in that scenario, there's a finite amount of glory available, and we've all got to scrap for what's ours. And so something like the New York Times bestseller, or the Grammy Awards, or the Amazon rankings, anything we can do, anything that helps us establish our place on a pecking order, affirms that idea that there's a finite amount of glory that I've got to figure out how I'm going to get my share of it. But another way to think of it is maybe the store of glory is not finite. And maybe in doing art, we add to the stock of glory in the world. And so that's kind of the idea that we've been experimenting with this weekend. Been talking about what it really means, even to give glory to God in the context of art making. And I think you've probably done some thinking along these lines. So I'd love to hear you talk to me as a worship leader, as a writer of worship songs. I thought you'd be an interesting person to talk to about these questions of glory, both God's glory and yours while we're at it.
Yes, because it's a little humbling. Let me just first say that I am a seeker of my own glory very frequently. Yeah. So this is not, someone speaking to you as if I have mastered the art of humility perfectly. So, yeah, I think, when I first think about glory, I think of my mom waking me up in the mornings in the 90s saying, "Rise and shine and give God the glory, glory." I think of radiance. I think of iconography of the icons that have the golden halo behind them. I think of something clearly visible. Yeah. And but one thing that I think as a Christ follower and as someone who is submitting their life to the narrative of Jesus's upside down kingdom and way of looking at things is that glory is something that I think is given. I don't think it's something that we earn. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about Psalm 34 that says those who look to him are radiant. Yeah. And this idea that whatever glory we have or possess is reflected, it's given to us. And I think that's definitely easier said than done, right? I mean, I think, so I don't know that I think glory is finite. If we believe that in God, he has abundance, then I think that each of us are image bearers and are specifically placed here to reflect his glory.
Yeah.
So if there's enough of us, there's enough glory to be shared and reflected. But I think it's something to be given, not anything that we earn or strive for. So I'm curious, though, if you guys have been discussing or what. I often also think of fame when I think of glory. I feel like in the pop culture lexicon, it's when you mention Grammys and New York Times bestseller, like I think it's often equated with celebrity, a certain status. So I'm just curious, I don't think of glory in that same way. I think those are different, celebrity and glory, but I'm not sure if that's something you guys have talked about or...
Yeah, I mean, one thing we've talked about is the idea that, our desire for glory is not sinful per se.
Yeah.
That our desire for glory, our desire to participate in glory is God-given, and yet it's also very easily distorted and misapplied.
Yeah.
And what was your question?
Was there a distinction between fame or celebrity and how you're adding to...
Yeah, and so it's so easy to mistake acclaim for glory.
Yeah.
The acclaim of people.
Right.
Which is one reason people do creative work, is to get the acclaim of people. I mean, it's not a healthy reason.
Yeah.
I'm not offering it as a healthy reason to
right,
do
but
it.
It's you're not volunteering yourself for the lead role in that. I don't think it's the thing that keeps us in the chair. I don't think being famous or adding to the glory might initially draw us to creative work, but I don't think it's the thing that sustains us.
Yeah.
At least that's what I found in my own search.
Yeah.
In my own creative life, is that it's not the thing that's going to keep me in the chair.
Okay, maybe I should define terms a little bit, because we were talking about adding to the glory. We were sort of saying adding to the stock of glories in the world that were available to all.
Okay.
And that's what we were meaning by sort of adding to the
pile.
To the pile.
Okay. The pile being a good thing.
Yes, a good pile. Yeah, not adding to.
Hopefully a good pile, not like the trash pile.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you say that, and then, but also something that Junius Johnson said that made an impression on me, and I've mentioned it a few times actually on this podcast before. So he says, you take in the glories of the world, and they inspire you to make something. And you want to recreate the glory, and yet you don't. You fail. And even in that failure, though, because you didn't manage to perfectly recreate it, you made something else.
Yeah.
And that's a little more.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not what you're hoping to make, and yet there's one more beautiful thing in the world that's not even the thing that you thought you were making.
Yeah.
And there's some grace in that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't think that we can be the judge of our work that we're putting on the pile. And I think that's the difficulty, is when we try to judge our work of like, is it in the good pile or the trash pile, or however we deem things worthy of glory. I think that's also difficult, which, you spoke earlier to the community of people gathered here today and how we need each other to be the reflectors back of the beauty and the things that we're adding in the world. And, you mentioned failure, and I've been formed by, when I think about even worship, through recovery circles. So I don't have substance abuse issues, but I've been to several AA meetings. I know, I think that all humans have addiction struggles, whether we know it or not. Just for me, even my phone, like the reality is I'm addicted to my phone, and we don't think that feels like a noble, perhaps, addiction because we're all addicted. But I think that when we think about addiction and what it does to our bodies and brains, I think I've found such beauty in recovery circles because there's such a beginning point of failure. And I think the truth is, for me, I have lived a very privileged life and a very beautiful, safe life, void of a lot of horrible traumas in the world. And so that naturally, I think, gives me a posture of deservedness of something that I think I have to wrestle with. And I think what I've found in those circles of people who are more comfortable with admitting their own failure, I think, and more accustomed to being in a place of owning that, not wallowing in it, but saying, this is who I am, but this is what I'm working towards. I think there's a greater sense of beauty and glory. And now I'm chasing a rabbit, but yes, I want to contribute to the pile of beauty, but I often don't know what that looks like, and I can't be the judge of that. And quite often it comes through failure, and I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that's part of the human condition. And that's when I think glory can be given. That's when the partnership, I think, with God and a creator, if we believe in that, it takes place, that mystical reality of I'm working and God is also working. We're co-laboring together. So whether I offer him a pile of crap, or something that I deem better than that, it's blessed, and I think there's a mystical working in that takes whatever that is and does whatever he wants with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When your mother said, "Give God the glory, glory,"
Yeah.
what did you think she meant?
Get out of bed.
Get to work.
Get to work. Put some clothes on. Do what I tell you to do. Obedience.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a formative. Truly, you say the word glory, and my mind is singing that song. I think glory. There's a posture of praise, of adoration, of not just happiness, but in a sense, be happy, be joyful, be grateful to be alive, be a participant in the day.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
that works, I think.
Yeah. I think so.
And that gives God the glory. To be a participant in the day.
To be a participant in the day.
To say, what a world is this? And I'm here. Here I am.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
How do these? I mean, I think you've already started to answer this question already, and maybe you consider it answered. But these ideas about God's glory that you've been talking about, how do they shape the way you make art, the way your songwriting and you spoke of co-laboring. I'd love to hear you say more about the co-laboring in that.
Yeah. Well, my primary art form, I think, right now is writing, not actually songwriting at this stage of my life. My main musical outlet is I lead worship on a weekly basis, so that is definitely an outlet of thinking and preparing and planning. Most of those songs are not mine. Occasionally I'll throw one in there, but so art making for me right now primarily is the work at the computer or the journal of writing from the heart. And so I think for me that means bringing my whole self to the table, and so not being afraid of feeling whatever feelings I need to feel. One healing I think experience for me in the last 5 to 7 years was I spent a lot of my childhood and adulthood, being afraid of anger and being taught, go to your room, don't, here's how we deal with this. And it's definitely not in public, and it's definitely not, this way. But for me, the idea of learning to feel anger and feel and saying no, in order to be a whole person, especially before the Lord in my creative work, is to feel the feelings and not hide any of that. So to write from honesty, whether that's songwriting or a post on Substack or something for school. So I guess the truth is, though, I don't really think of it as pursuing or in terms of God's glory, if I'm honest. I'm usually kind of sifting my own mind. But in terms of co-laboring, I think one practice I have with writing is I'll light a candle, and for me that is an image of the Holy Spirit. So the idea that I'm not alone in whatever I'm writing or correcting, I think for me that's what I mean by co-laboring, is saying that like I'm here to pour out my heart, to ask the Lord to kind of mine the well or whatever, but I'm not alone in that, and so I don't have to be afraid of whatever emotion, whether it's something that I don't want to see, like anger, or something, pride, whatever. So I'm not sure if that.
Yeah, and that idea of bringing your whole self. Let me try something out and see if it makes sense to you. Okay. And that is the idea that God made you the way He made you, and you're. The Hopkins talks about selving, and I'm not going to be able to quote him any better than that, but he's but
who
the idea.
Did you say?
What's that?
Who did you?
Hopkins, George Manning Hopkins, yeah.
Okay.
And so somebody here can help though. Christina, where are you? Help me out.
Myself.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but okay, but the idea that that the things of God, the things. Well, I say the things of God. Everything's a thing of God. God made it all. But as it is more fully itself, it's giving glory to God. The bell that rings to God's glory, and the things of nature can't help but give God glory. We can manage not to. I think you're the theopoetics expert, so maybe you can help me with that. But it seems to me that we have a choice in a way that other creatures don't have the same kind of choice we have.
Yeah.
Now I've kind of lost track of where we were going with that, but well, I guess what I'm saying is you're talking about bringing your whole self because your whole self is the more fully you are yourself, the more fully you are stepping into your role as a creature. I mean, I think our creatureliness is pretty relevant to all of this. To saying, I am God's creature.
Yeah, and I think I don't know why I was raised in church my whole life, and I don't know why. And there's a lot of good and beauty, and I'm grateful for that. But I don't know why in the church I often kind of learned that there was parts of myself that I shouldn't be bringing into the room. And I think that's, to me, and I'm sure I'm romanticizing the recovery circles, but I think that's what I find beautiful, is that it begins from a posture of, here is my place of failure. And there's nothing that we can't bring to the table. So in my job as a worship leader, especially, I think I fight against that. I often feel like a host of a party. And I think I was also raised in the South, and I was taught that when you host, you clean, you put things away, you light a candle, you're making your space beautiful. But that I feel like that way in the church, that what we're often doing is wanting to welcome people into a space that's beautiful, but that's, whether we intend to or not, is hiding our creatureliness and our parts of ourselves that we're like, is this okay? Is this is it okay to be pissed at church or not even want to, whatever, sad, whatever it's not just emotion, but even state of circumstances and whatever. And so I think that's one desire that I have, is to bring myself wholly into the church as well. And not just, because I do feel that I've grown in a place where I can do that in my creative practice. But the truth is, I don't always feel like that mirrors the same safety in religious settings. And so I that's a desire of mine. I feel like my job as a leader is to invite people in, to say, whatever you're feeling this morning, whatever you're believing or wrestling with, bring it, and participate from whatever posture you want to. Yeah, so I think that is, I think, part of our life's work is to wrestle with our creatures, ourselves, the dualities of being loved by God and often, not believing that or not feeling like it.
Yeah. Well, that might offer a transition to a poet that I know you love is John O'Donohue.
Yes.
And as I was sort of getting ready for this talk, I started, knowing that you had written a post about John O'Donohue. I got looking at the book that you loved, which is To Bless the Space Between Us. And I love the way he talks about we live in a world that is full of beauty, and that beauty connects to an invisible beauty. And we too often are so enamored. Well, one thing is to forget the natural beauty, the beauty of the visible beauty. Sometimes, but another way to get it wrong is to be so attentive to the visible beauty that we lose sight of the invisible beauty behind it. And so it seems to me that the one part of the work of the artist is to see and to give an account of what they've seen as a way of making people alert to both the visible and visible beauty, which is to say, connecting people with glory. And so, since you are a John O'Donohue reader, I'd love to, let's talk about his stuff a little bit.
Yeah, I love John O'Donohue. I love Celtic Christianity, and I first discovered his book Anam Cara, which is a meaning of soul friend, about 10 years ago. So I think there's something in tune with him about beauty specifically, and I think it does start in a place of the natural world, but I think it obviously reaches and stretches farther than that. I think that feels like, I think he ministers to me so much because I think that's part of my life's calling, is whether it's music or writing, like I feel called to find beauty and name it and help other people to find and name it. I feel that beauty is healing. I think it has a healing property, whether that's looking at a piece of art or listening to a piece of music. I think it does something for the soul. And I think he captures that really well. And so, it reminds me of when I was little, my dad would sit me on his lap and say, "Where does beauty come from?" And then we both say together, "The heart." And he taught me that beauty comes from the inside. And I don't know if that was the dad trying to be like, "You're cute, it's okay." But but that was something that he taught me from a young age that I've carried with me, that I think that John is speaking to, is a beauty of the soul, and how as the image bearers, whether we acknowledge Christ or not, we all contain, I think, beauty if that it's given and reflected through God. So I think that's part of the Christian, or what I want to do is to say, like, this is what name I ascribe to beauty and the work that I see in the world.
Yeah. Return to your dad real quickly.
Yeah.
Wasn't he also saying, "What love sees is true"? And he's saying to his little girl, "You're beautiful," and that. And he knew what he was talking about, right? And it was, So, I love that idea, though, from John O'Donohue, that it's not our job to beautify, but to acknowledge what's there, the beauty that's there. To say, what a world is this?
Yeah. There's a lot of play in that, or a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
I don't know about anybody else, but sometimes when I sit to create or write, it's like I've got to, do the next big, most amazing piece of art or something. And it's like, no, my job is really to name what I see, to bear witness to it. And it's not that complicated.
Yeah.
I make it way complicated.
How so? How do you make it complicated?
Ascribing my own meaning to certain things, putting my own desires for something, whether it's to be published or things that are good. I think those are good desires, and we should all work towards the end that we long for. But I think that muddies the water for me. Sometimes this is my own plan or vision for something. Just letting a thing be. Sometimes I often am searching for so much meaning that it's like sometimes that just maybe there isn't a lot of things to mine from that. It just was something that happened, or so I think my emotions. I think emotions are such a deep part of intellect. I think in this world we value reason and logic, rightfully so, but I think I'm learning with art especially that my emotions are extremely important to the work that I'm creating. Because it's the first most kind of honest, raw place, but also I think sometimes I can get in my own way with the emotion. So learning how to feel them but not ascribe too much meaning to them, and yeah,
and it seems to me also a function of letting that emotion reveal to you what's true and not obscure what's true. But trying to be completely rational and unemotional doesn't get you that far toward the fullness of truth. And so it of course your emotions can get you off track, but I don't know how you get on track without them.
I know. I think one thing too for me, I've learned just time cycles of learning. There are times where it's like I need to write, and I need to write it out and let the emotion be on the page. And there are other times where it's like I need to go for a walk, and I'm not ready to create something from this or whatever. I need to do something physical, or just I need to sleep. I need a nap. I need to eat, or I need something for my body, and to let the body do the work. And then when the mind is able to access those emotions, then give it the ability and space to access those. So I think that just is still a learning process for me. You're being creaturely again. I'm being creaturely again. I mean, you can't get the writing done without being creaturely. Let's put it that way. And it made me think about, we spend a lot of time teaching children how to name their emotions and use words and find the words for your feelings. And that's honestly what I'm doing as an adult still, is what's the word for how I feel? How do I say this? And I don't know, it makes me think of, when Jesus was asked who is the greatest, and he said, well, look at the children. To me, that reminded me of, there's something beautiful about being a creature that I think as adults, we grow into this, I need to become independent. And I think the whole heart of Jesus is no, grow more dependent, be like a child with me. I'm a safe place to teach you how to find your words and say how you feel and create, and to grow in a sense of dependence on the Lord. So not be afraid of our creatureliness. It's a fun word, a hard word. You just nailed that. Thank you. Okay, we got a room full of people who are dying to know what theopoetics is. Yes. So you're working on a master's in theopoetics. Theopoetics and writing. Okay. So theopoetics is coming at theology from a lens of desire and language rather than dogma or systematic theology. So not that doesn't have its place. I'm very grateful for the pastors and teachers who have been trained with a Master of Divinity. But what I am doing is a hybrid of theology classes and craft writing classes. So theopoetics is not just studying poetry and trying to apply, the beauty of God to it, which is lovely. But it's something altogether new. It's coming at theology from a different lens and looking at it from how do we make meaning? How do we... theology is a kind of creation. It's a kind of writing and naming that we're doing after all. And so it's just kind of acknowledging that and is a more embodied, holistic approach to looking at theology that I think so. That's been a really lovely. Can you give an example of an issue or a
piece of writing that your approach as a theopoeticist, theopoet, is distinct from the way somebody's getting an MDiv approaches that issue or that piece of writing?
Yeah. I don't know that. You mean personally, the work that I...
Well, you're welcome to talk in personal terms. I'm just trying to understand what theopoetics is as distinct from anything else.
Yes. That's fair. So the term theopoetic came into, I think, our vernacular in the 60s.
Okay.
So in the late 60s, the God is Dead movement that then kind of produced the Jesus movement. So some theologians who felt that traditional theology and methods of looking at doctrine were not working for people. So there are a couple of theologians who have spent their lives doing theopoetic work. Stanley Hopper is one, Amos Wilder is another. There's definitely books by them I could recommend. But in terms of, that is kind of the beauty and the frustrating part about theopoetics, is that there's no one clear definition or writer or thinker. It's there's a lot of theology in the arts programs. That would be another kind of synonymous program without using the word theopoetic.
Gotcha.
But it is a combination of arts and theology.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Would you be willing to answer some questions of people in the room?
Yeah.
I'm really interested, as you are a worship leader, and your job as a worship leader is leading a congregation to bring glory to God, and the art that you are doing that with is not your art. How do you think through desires for personal glory in that context?
Well, it's tricky because, I'm bringing myself, and my primary instrument on Sundays is my voice, which is directly tied to my body and my heart and my soul and my name. And I think most of that is being honest, starting from a place of, there is an aspect, I think, of leading that is performative, that I have at least tried to make peace with the reality of that is part of it. During the week, I tried to have my own, that was part of my love of music in the first place, was the piano was my own space that I could sit and play and pour my heart out, and that was my therapy. And so I I'm not always the best at it, but if I can maintain that private practice, that always helps me on a Sunday morning. And I can tell when I am just going in, doing the job, which provides its own weariness. And I can tell when I'm performing rather than bringing my whole heart. And I think, one of the most meaningful times I ever had leading worship was when the band practice and the whole morning went so wrong. And I got up to the mic to say welcome, and I was tears were streaming down my face. And I knew, okay, this isn't up to me. But I spent the whole morning acting like it was, all on my shoulders. And so just to start that and say, this is how I'm feeling. This is how I'm inviting you into worship today. And that, to me, is still... bless me. So I don't know that I do it right, but I think a lot of it is a tension that I certainly live in, of performing, inviting someone, and also making sure that my own heart and soul are being poured out, and worshiping as well is a really difficult. I do love singing other people's songs. That to me is definitely easy to participate in worship. That aspect is not performative, but it's tricky.
What relation do you think theopoetics, which I haven't heard of until today, has with hymns? Because theology, hymns are very dense poetry with theology in them. So have you thought about that before? And if you haven't, maybe you have some thoughts on the spot about it.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I don't know that I've ever explicitly given a lot of attention to that before, but it's a great point. I think one thing that theopoetics would approach or say about that is that all language has beauty and meaning, and so the hymn would be another category that would be worthy of worship. And I think one helpful idea too in worship that I've been thinking about is worship often feels linear, like we walk in, we go through this structure, this time thing, and then we're out. And I think theopoetics has a more like circular structure to it. And so the cyclical nature of being together and participating in something rather than just like receiving worship. And I think music and the Psalms help us do that. So I don't know that I have a great answer on the spot, but I appreciate you bringing that forward. Yeah.
Since we're part of the habit and we talk about the practice of, doing our work, what does your habit in creativity look like, kind of day to day, week to week?
It is never the same. I always want it to, and it just never does. Some weeks it's more at the piano, writing, songwriting. Sometimes, most frequently, it's at my desk, so in front of my laptop. I love to read writing prompts or writing books. Sometimes I'll follow a writing prompt to start with. Sometimes, most often, it's my most avid, faithful practice is journaling. So that is usually where it starts. And usually where it ends often for me lately, so is journaling. But I don't.
Do you have a time of day that you do your thing?
I'm a morning person. I feel like I prefer to write in the morning. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
And you mentioned that you light a candle.
I do. Yeah.
Same candle. Same. Does it smell the same every time?
Same candle. It's a taper candle. I don't even need to smell. Yes.
Yeah. It's not even a scented candle.
It's not a scented candle. It's just that I love matches. I love the smell of a match. There's something about this sensory experience of lighting a match and lighting a candle that totally invigorates me. Uh-huh. And I forgot that was a tip from someone I learned somewhere, and I was like, oh, light a candle. It's such a small thing, but I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me feel like I'm writing.
Yeah. And it engages something besides your brain.
Yes. Yeah. It makes me, I don't know, I feel like Emily Dickinson, or I feel like I'm just I need to light a candle and sit here and, I don't know, it gets me into this, my ancestors lit candles and dear diary, it gives me some sense of, meaning to the work or something. Yeah.
Yeah. If you really want to get in touch with your ancestors, you should light a torch, some sort of bear fat torch or something like that.
Bear fat, definitely have that in the pantry. Yeah.
Any other questions for Becca there, Micah?
So earlier you mentioned that part of your job as a worship leader is to invite people in and ask them to participate no matter where they are or how they might be showing up. So my question is, what do you hope might happen for them when they start participating? What is it that you, as a leader, hope happens there?
Oh, I love that question. What I hope happens for them is that they forget where they are. That they encounter the Lord, encounter the Holy Spirit, they encounter whatever they need, whether that's conviction or comfort. I hope that they experience the participatoriness of it all. I hope that they lose a sense of themselves. I love when I can hear the congregation singing. There's nothing more, to me, powerful than just singing together. So I don't even need them to go anywhere else in their minds. But yeah, I hope that they have an encounter with beauty, and I think that's the tension of I want to create something beautiful for them to forget where they are, that they're not distracted by wow, that could sound better, but also lose the sense of where they are and that they're not thinking about, that sounds so good, but they're encountering the story and the love of Christ that like meets us. So yeah, that's what I hope for. And the reality is that's the difficulty. I don't know. I'll never know. I'm looking, there are often weeks and weeks where I think it feels like no one encountered the Lord, or maybe that was pointless, or maybe I was, all the questions, but that's not for me to know ever, and that's the difficulty of like the heart work of being human, is like, well, I don't know. It's one thing for someone to say, that song touched me, and that's a sweet, some kind of signifier of like, oh, something else was happening, but the truth is we never know what other people are, but that's my hope.
What does surprise look like in that setting? Like how, I guess you mentioned your, weepy day that turned out to be a real blessing to you. That was a surprise.
Yeah.
Does anything come to mind when I ask you about surprises in that setting?
In leading worship?
In leading worship, yeah.
I love when things go wrong that went great in rehearsal. That's a surprise. That's like, okay, that didn't happen the first time. I love surprise. I love when other bandmates get choked up or emotional about something. That's happened before, that I love seeing like, oh yeah, they're feeling and responding, and I do love it. It's sad that it feels sometimes like a surprise, but I do love when I can really hear people singing. That's not always guaranteed. And I'm still, I shouldn't be, but I'm often still surprised at my own ego. Yeah. And the times where I'm like, oh, I totally got tripped up on it. And we'll sit down to listen to the sermon and just be like, not there. And then be able to be captured and present and hear something from the sermon, and I was like, oh, I feel like I received something. That feels like a surprise. Yeah. If I'm honest. Yeah.
Any other questions? Let me ask you one last question that I usually ask at the end of these conversations, because it's always fun to hear. Okay. Who are the writers who make you want to write?
Okay, well, songwriting, I love John Guerra.
Yeah.
I've been listening to him. He inspires me, his writing. Gotta mention Sarah Groves. I love her so much. She always makes me want to sit down and write. And then as far as who I'm reading, I have always loved Anne Lamott, and will always love her. Love reading her. I love Robert Farrar Capone, I think is how you say his name, The Supper of the Lamb. He makes me want to write. Yeah. I read a lot of nonfiction. I'm trying to read more fiction lately, but those are some names of people that I love. Yeah.
Love it. All right. Well, Becca Jordan, thanks so much for being here. This has been so fun.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
The Habit Podcast is brought to you by The Rabbit Room, where art nourishes community and community nourishes art. You can support their work, including this podcast, by becoming a member. Visit rabbitroom.com/membership. Special thanks as well to Taylor Leonard for letting us use her song Diamonds as the theme music for the Habit Podcast. You can learn more about Taylor and follow her work at taylorleonard.com. The Habit membership is a library of resources for writers by me, Jonathan Rogers. More importantly, The Habit is a hub of community where like-minded writers gather to discuss their work and give each other a little more courage. Find out more at thehabit.co.